let's say as an example, if you are between the ages of 18 to 35, you score the highest mark in age. If you then have a master's, yeah, that gives you good score. If you have 3 years, 4 years work experience, good score. If you then pass your English, the IELTS, the minimum you should score is 6 on each of the 4 language criteria. If you score 999 in 3 and you score 5.5 in 1, it's fail, right? You must score minimum 6 and above. And the higher you score, the higher your total points that will put you on top of the mark. So it just depends on your situation. The younger, the better. The more educated, the better, because Canada is simply taking the best out of the world and you're competing with the best around the world. That's what Express Entry is about.
Okay. Thank you very much. If you see me looking on my phone, I'm trying to read some of the questions from my phone. Problem. So we have some questions here. Someone is asking, please, my question is, I'm trying to apply for my permanent residence using the Express Entry. My scores for language tests makes me qualify for the Canadian Experience class. But then anytime I apply for the eligibility, it keeps coming back as profile ineligibility. So please, what should I do? So I think whenever he or she applies, the profile keeps coming back and say you're ineligible.
Okay, so thanks, very good question. So what happens with, and that's what people don't know, they're not trying to sell here, but that's why you need a professional, because so many reasons, from my experience working with people in that category, if you don't choose the right national occupation, okay, you need to choose the right national occupation. You need to be A, O, or B. So if you go choose an occupation that is C, you're not a skilled worker, right? That's the first thing. You need to be sure that your national occupation classification is the right one. You need to be sure that you have at least 1 year full-time work experience in the school, in what you studied. So if, for instance, if you study media arts, and then you say you're working as a living caregiver, even if you have 10 years work experience, you've not matched, what's it called? You've not matched your experience with the education that you had in Canada. So watch out for those few things. Choose the right national occupation classification, and if you school there and that's what you're going through the CEC, Canadian Experience class. Make sure that you're full-time. It's a full-time role, and that the role is related to what you studied, for what you studied and what you got your postgraduate work permit for. Those usually are the things that trip people when they go create their profile.
Wow, thank you very much. This is really interesting. So what in effect, what you are saying is, maybe I'm migrating from Ghana, and I want to come to Canada, and then my undergraduate, I did it in religious studies, but then after religious studies, I got job as an HR official. So I've done that for 10 years.
Okay, you're a bit cut off there. No, I quickly correct that. What I explained is when you school in Canada. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can the rest of us hear me? Messi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Anima seemed frozen.
Yeah, probably her network is gone.
Okay, yeah, so I'll quickly correct what she said there. So the question I thought was for somebody who is inside of Canada, who has done postgraduate work, who schooled here, has postgraduate work permit, and is trying to do Canadian Experience class. So if that's the case, yes, what I explained holds true. If that's not the case, no, it doesn't matter. You can study anything. What matters is your work experience, that your work experience aligns with the national occupation that you are choosing. So if I read religious knowledge, and then in the last 10 years, I've changed career to become an IT guru. Wow, that's is the IT. Well, your MSc in, say, psychology or in religious studies will score you mark under highest level of education. Then when you get to the work experience, the work you've done as an IT person is what's much more relevant than what you studied. But if you study in Canada and you say you study accounting, right? And then you go and start working as a social worker, those two roles will not jibe for you to get to apply for your PR. I don't know if that clarifies that question.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we had a technical difficulty. Can someone please mute? I think someone is singing. Can you please mute yourself? We had a technical difficulty, so I think all the questions that came is all gone now. So please keep sending your questions and we'll read them. Okay, another question for you, Alex, please. Someone is asking, can one use visiting visa to obtain work permit whilst in Canada?
No, they generally no. Yeah, generally when you come as a visitor, yeah, they expect you to come, stay the time you need to stay. If it's, say, a grandma or a grandpa, or you have reasons to extend your stay, 30 days before the expiry of the stay you were granted when you came in, you make sure you apply, give reasons why you want to extend, okay? But when you come in as a visitor, it will be breaking the immigration rule to say you want to convert it to a stay. If you have to apply for work permit, they expect you to go out, right? They expect you to go out. But having said that, this past week, we got, there was a change that was made by the immigration minister. So we got an email telling us that if we have clients who were kept here by the pandemic and want to work, they can apply. It's something that Canada is a change that we have a lot of noise in the background, but I hope you can still hear
1
me.
minute, please mute yourself. Someone is actually singing. If you have someone in the background who is singing, please mute yourself, or can you ask the person to go to a different room? Please, this is very important. Okay. People are asking questions pertaining to their immigration, so please mute yourself. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so generally, if you are on a visitor, if you have a visitor status, you are not able to convert. You can extend up to a certain extent, but you cannot convert from temporary to either work or become a permanent resident, or even apply as a student. They will ask you to go to your home country to go apply. Sometimes, the whole country is, everywhere is locked down now. What we had in the past was that you could apply for school, but you would then designate the US. If you have US visa, you then go to the US to do your interview. That's what people can do. What I was saying was that in the last, I think this week, the Minister of Immigration, they came out with a change in policy that at this moment, if you're in Canada and you're a temporary, you're a visitor and you want to work, they've relaxed that rule and say you can apply for work permit without necessarily, because people have been here for 5-6 months, couldn't go to their place, and Canada need people to work. So they've relaxed that rule and say you can apply while in Canada. But generally, the immigration law does not allow you to come as a visitor and then convert that to any other status here, including work.
Okay, thank you very much. So if you have any more questions with regard, maybe you are here and you have been here for about 6 months due to the lockdown and you want to change from your visitor's permit to a work permit, please contact Alex. His details is on the screen. You can see it and he can help you through that. Probably it's been laxed now, so you can get through it. Okay, the next question is, how affordable is this process? I think the person is talking with regards to the permanent residence for a family of 4. How affordable is this?
Okay, so for a family of 4, I would for a family of four, wow, there are different, it goes, I won't even talk about the fee we charge. I won't talk about the fee we charge. When it comes to dealing with the government, immigration process is expensive, right? I think for a family of four, I think it's $550 each for the adults. I think the children, but it's $250 or thereabout. And then then that's for the application. Then and when you're then applying for the permanent residence, there's the landing, some people pay them together, but in total, it's $1,525 for the adults in the family, meaning the man, the woman, and then for the children, I think it's about 500 or thereabout. I can let the person find out. It's about 500 or thereabout for each of them. Those are costs that you pay to government. But remember, you're going to get police reports. You're going to get all kinds of, you're going to write your IELTS. You're going to verify your results with WES or IQUAS. You know, those things also cost you, they also cost you money. It's not cheap. Then there's the proof of funds. I think for a family of four, you'll be looking like, I think it's $28,000. I can quickly check why it's about $28,000 that you have to show as proof of funds. You're not giving that money to anybody, but you have to have it in your account and prove to Canada with immigration that you have money to take care of yourself when you land. Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, because I'm also looking at some of the questions here. So I see a number of them. You say you lost, I think Messi should have them.
Yeah,
you know,
Messi
but I'm seeing them on my own.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So do you want to, should I read it for you, or you just want to read the first one? That is
no, you are the moderator. You tell me the ones I should answer.
Okay, so someone is asking, thank you for holding this wonderful webinar. I am an administrative officer. How possible is it for me to get a work visa and a reasonable job in Canada? And so I wanted to know where he was, whether he was currently in Canada or he was elsewhere. And he said he's in Nigeria. He started the process, but then he's been receiving mails upon mails and he's afraid of scam. So I don't know what kind of process he started, maybe getting his, writing the exams and all that. So yeah, that's his question. He is in Nigeria currently, he's an administrative officer, and how possible can he get a work visa and a reasonable job? And I think he's also scared of scams. So I don't know if this is something you would take it further and maybe you would have make him meet you personally.
So good question. I think again, it's difficult to make a prescription if we do not have the full details. Again, it depends on how old are you, what's your qualification, what did you score in your English test, have you done your certificate verification, right? Those are all the things that you need. Have you created a profile, right? Go to Canada.ca, you know, choose immigration, choose express entry, create your profile. If you have your profile on, right, you can then begin to apply for provinces. If your job is a designated job, for instance, Alberta, NOC code 1244 or 1224 is admin. I know of people who came in recently because Alberta nominated them because they say they are short of admin people. Well, you know, so first you have to create your profile in the Federal Express entry, right? So don't let anybody scam you. You can do that. When you do that, it will tell you what your score is. So I always say it's like JAMB versus WAEC. You have your 6 credits. That does not guarantee you school because you need to go write JAMB. When you've written JAMB, maybe you'll be praying that people should not pass more than you, right? Because the express entry is like the JAMB. all of us can qualify to be there. If my score is 350 and yours is 600, who will Canada take first? They'll take the 600, right? So you need to first get in the pool. That is the first thing you need to do. It's when you're in the pool that you can begin to apply to provinces that require that job as job in demand. Because a lot of the provinces will ask you, are you qualified with federal, right? Alberta, for instance, you do not necessarily apply except for paper and some of the paper application. What Alberta does is go into the pool and say, we need admin people. They go into the pool and they say, we want 500 people. The first 500 people in admin, who have the highest score, they will send them letter and say, hey, would you like to come to Alberta to come and work? That's the way it works. And for Nigerians who are getting, or anybody who's getting scammed with job, know that in Canada, there's what they call labor market impact assessment. Nobody gives you job unless government approves for them that they can bring somebody in. And that person has to prove to the government that they did not find any of us Canadians and permanent residents that can do that job before they can go abroad to go bring somebody. So if somebody tells you, hey, here's a job offer, pay me money to come to Canada, be very careful.
Okay, I think his question was he wants a work visa and a reasonable job. So he's not working, he's not trying to apply for a permanent resident, but a work visa and a reasonable job. And he's asking if he can be helped.
Yeah, it can be helped if he finds an employer. I just told you there are two ways you can do that. You find an employer who does LMIA for you, labor market impact assessment. And if that person can prove that they couldn't find an admin person in the whole of Canada, yeah, government will approve and say, bring in somebody. The other route that you can help yourself is if you qualify for express entry, get into express entry, have a number, and based on that, you will be able to apply to jobs in provinces because you're already in the pool.
Okay, thank you very much. So there are lots of questions. Please, the topic for today is immigrating to Canada. So please ask questions based on that. I've seen questions that are coming in that has nothing to do with immigrating to Canada. Please wait. When we run a series on whatever question that you have, you can bring it. For today, we are running a series on how to immigrate to Canada. So another person wants to know, what's the average time frame? I think that person is referring to the permanent resident from start to completion. Is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? Or is it 6 months? So that is the question.
Yeah, I actually did something for a client yesterday, and we went through the same route. So if again, it depends on your situation, right? On the website today, they say it takes average 6 months from when you qualify to come in, from when you receive your invitation to apply to when they actually finish with the work. It's exactly 6 months. But those 6 months do not take into consideration your IELTS. You need to go write your English exam and pass 6 minimum on each of the 4 areas. It doesn't take into consideration between 30 to 60 days that you require to do your certificate verification. It doesn't take into consideration all the transcripts that you need to get from your university in your country. So the moment you get the invitation to apply to when you actually migrate to Canada, Canada immigration says it's average 6 months for a lot of people. But I've seen people do it in 3 months because depending on how ready you were when you got into the pool.
Okay, thank you very much. So someone is asking, can Base Point Immigration Services help me in getting a job? I'm particularly interested in caregiving and a Greek pilot scheme. I'm currently in Nigeria.
Thanks for the question. Unfortunately, my license doesn't allow me to, I will have to get another license that makes me a recruiter for me to start helping you with jobs. You mentioned living caregiver. That's a good route because in June, middle of June, June 17 or thereabout last year, Canada changed the rules regarding caregiver. Now, if you have anybody, if you have a child that is under 18, you can sponsor somebody, you can offer, without having LMIA, the Labor Market Impact Assessment, you can actually offer, a family can make a job offer of a living caregiver to somebody outside of Canada, example, Nigeria, Ghana, Tanzania. So you can make you can give a job offer to the person, but of course you must pay the agreed rate, $15, $17, depending on the province you are in. And that person can actually, the person will then submit an application in the visa office in the local country. And once they get their work permit will be what they call closed open work permit. Closed to the extent that you can only do living caregiver job. But if it's, say, Anima's family that brought you in, and you find another neighbor that pays you better and you resign from that job, you can go, you are allowed to change employer, but you cannot come and say, you know what, I came in as a living caregiver, I'm an accountant, I want to go do accounting. You'll be violating the terms of your closed open work permit. So you can only do living caregiver for the 2 years minimum that will qualify you to apply. Another good thing about living caregiver, the new living caregiver, it's a pilot, is that in the past, you couldn't come with your family, but with the new one now, you can come with your spouse. Your spouse will have an open work permit. You can come with your underage children and they'll be able to go to school for free.
Oh, that is really interesting. Thank you. So if I want a living caregiver, I need to apply and get the LMIA and give it to whoever.
They took out the LMIA for this one. No more. So what they did was to recognize that a lot of families need that help. Going through the LMIA process is a barrier to them. So that's why they called it a pilot. I think it's 2 years. 1 year is already gone now. So they relaxed it. And also Canada's way of looking at it to say, oh, you bring in somebody as living caregiver. For the next 2-3 years, the family is back in their home country. You are supporting families here, but you are disintegrating another family in another country, So that's why they brought in this pilot to say, yeah, if you're a living caregiver, don't worry about LMIA anymore. If you want to bring one in, make an offer. There are forms that you will fill, standard forms. You make a job offer, and then once it's accepted, the person applies. If he gets the work permit, right, it can come with the family. The husband, if it's a man that is the living caregiver, the wife can get open work permits and do any job, and then the underage children can go to school. Another beautiful thing is that you who is employing them, in the past, it used to be that you have to prove that you have good accommodation for them. No, they can go have their own house and they will be coming to resume in your house like any other employer-employee relationship.
Oh, that is really interesting. Thank you for this. Okay, so I think someone else is asking if you could help him with schools and to secure admission. That is the same. I think you need to get a different license for that as well. Or I don't know if
so we do. We are able to. Yeah. So for school, yeah, it's part of your study permit process. Yeah. So and I quickly use that to address whatever questions you have about school. Be careful what schools you take, what schools you go for. If it's secondary school or high school here, they are designated learning institution, DLI. But when it comes to post-secondary school, there are schools that are not DLI, meaning if you're an international student, you come school there, you will not get postgraduate work permit. So we make sure that you're getting into a DLI, a designated learning institution, and then study permit. We're able to help you process your study permit. And for students, I think statistics shows that in Nigeria and Africa, 85% rejection rate, whereas Asia and Europe and other parts of the world, it's almost 100%, right? So there's that talk going on about why do Africans get rejected? And it's almost always about how we provide information, how the ability of the immigration officer to look at your application and can, and you fulfill all the requirements. Part of that is moving to Canada, right? Moving to Canada as a student is temporary. It's not permanent. So if you're applying and you create the impression that I'm using this as my permanent route, it's zap, right? But by itself, yeah, you're coming as a temporary resident. You must have plan to go back to your country to go use the education you've got. That's what the law says. But when you finish, this same country has laws that says, hey, you schooled here, you have work experience here. Do you want to stay? But one cannot come before one. You cannot put the other one in front because it's still a temporary migration. You must prove to the officer that you're coming to school, why you're coming to school, right? How are you going to pay for the cost of that school? And what's your plan to go back to your country to use the education you've acquired? But people miss out on that last part where they do not show, it's called letter of intent, where they do not submit a letter. In the past, you will sit in front of the officer and they will say, hey, Alex, you want to go study in Canada? Yeah, why? Because of this. Oh, you wrote this here. What do you mean? But these days, it's like applying for a job. It's the strength of your resume that will determine whether you pass or fail. So people should just have that at the back of their mind.
Oh, wow, this is really interesting. Okay. So one is asking, how do you verify the legitimacy of a Canadian construction company? So I know that people keep getting emails that there's a job offer in Canada and that I've had this a lot. People asking, do you think this is real? Can you do a search for me? So someone is asking, how do you verify?
Yeah. So go to, if you go to Canada.ca, you see the logo that I have here. If I use this without qualifying for it, I can get picked up and my enemy can go to jail, right? So go to Canada.ca, right? Type authorized representative. You will find my name. You will find this business name there, right? So if somebody tells you it's a Canadian immigration consultant, you go to Canada.ca. You can also go to, I'll try and type the, you can also go to the RCIC, just check for RCIC, you will see a place where all the immigration consultants in Canada are listed. And the agents that I have a duty to train them and then also add their name to my file, such that if somebody approaches you and says, my name is I work for Base Point Immigration, you can go to Canada.ca and then you will check, you will find that agent's name attached to me. So anybody who tells you it's an agent, you can go online and go find out if they are true or false.
Okay. Thank you very much. So someone is asking, please, do you sponsor the travel so that I can pay later?
I saw that question. Unfortunately, the answer is no. I get that a lot. The answer is no. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to do that. Right? If you are my family, it's a different thing. Then it will be family. I don't. I don't.
Okay. So someone is asking if there is a link on how to get into the express entry pool. Any link for registration on how to get to the express entry?
Yeah, so just tell them, go to Canada.ca, right? And then click immigration. I can try to post something here, Canada.ca. And then when you get there, just choose immigration, right? You see Canada.ca, immigration and citizenship, immigrate to Canada, and then you will see express entry. And you know what? Just go to Google, type express entry. Google is your friend. It will bring out everything.
I think people are just scared of, because there are a lot of people that put links like that there and they are scam. So people are just scared of clicking on a wrong link. And so that's why they were asking if we have the legit link to the source.
All right, I'll try and post a link, but just go to Canada.ca and it's easy to know. It's very easy to know when what's it called? When you're in the right or wrong link, right? But it's different for everybody. So I'll post a link. So let's take the next question.
So, okay, this is not a question, but for all those who are asking for Alexander's details, we've put it in the chat. We will put it on our social media platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, everywhere, so you can get access to him. Those of you asking for the recorded video, we'll put it on YouTube. We have a YouTube page, Afri-can Connect. We put all our webinars, all our videos there. And so if there's any question that you still want to go back and look at it, you can go back and look at it. So this is for those who are asking for Alex's details. It's even if you are on Zoom with us, Facebook, like I think you can see it. His details is on the screen. You can pick it up and send him an email, and then you can chat with him. So someone is asking, I have a 6.5 on IELTS score. Can I go ahead for immigration as a qualified teacher?
So if he has 6.5, what does he have? It's 6.5, right? You know, there's listening, speaking, writing, and what's the other one? Hearing. So what, because people get average of 6.5, but if one of them is less than 6, it's not a pass.
Okay. So please let us know if you can expatiate on your question. If it's a 6.5, an average score, or 6.5 each. I don't know what you mean by 6.5, but Alex has answered. If it's 6.5 and you have something less, then you might not qualify. What are the possibilities as educated or as trained teachers with associate degrees? I don't know. Yeah, that was the question. So I don't know what the question really means, to find a job or to apply for permanent resident.
Yeah, it's a combination of factors. Like I said, there are 6-7 factors they look at. And a lot of people, when they say they are teachers, they have a way of putting down themselves. And I tell people that when it comes to this place, when it comes to Canada, I trained as an accountant, right? It's almost, I'm as professional a person as the teacher, right? Especially if you're a high school teacher, you know, they see both of us as professionals. So don't put down yourself. If you're a teacher, it's highly valued in this part of the world. Just check all the other factors. How old are you? What did you score in your English test? Do you have the money? Do you have the money? The family of 4, it's 24,000 Canadian dollars that you need to have in your account, you know, for you to show as proof of funds. So if you're a teacher, yeah, be proud of yourself. It's a valued profession here.
Okay, so how feasible is one to get a job offer? Because most provinces require a job offer before you can get a provincial nominee.
It's the yeah, it's what I would say. It's the thing that keeps us immigration consultants awake at night, because when you put people through PMP, which is Provincial Nominee Program, you then need to dig to find what they qualify for, because each province has a different sets of what they call in-demand job, the jobs they want to fill and all of that. Yeah, it's tough, but what I usually tell my clients is don't just look at one place. There are 13 provinces and territories. A lot of them have different programs. So what we do is, you know, you keep looking. And then go on LinkedIn, especially if you already have a profile in Express Entry. Go on LinkedIn, be creative. Look for people who are in the area of your profession, who are Canadian companies, who are in who are on LinkedIn. Start, is it befriending now? Start connecting with them.
Connecting.
You know, yeah, start connecting with them. Start, you know, I've seen people who get job and it's like, hey, you're so brilliant. So what are you? Where are you? Oh, I'm in Accra. Oh, you're in Accra. Are you qualified to work in Canada? And the guy said, well, I'm in the Express Entry pool. What does that mean? It means if I have a job offer, you know, it can improve my chances of coming. You never know, right? You know, but it's a game of research. It's a game of keep looking. You know, it's a game of experience. That I have doctors now you want to push them to certain areas that you know that the health sector, they need people. If it's technology, I know provinces that are very, aggressive, bringing in IT consultants and IT people and all of that.
Okay. So this question, I'm a man of 45 years. I'm based in Nigeria. I intend seeking admission to a diploma program in business administration. Can you help me in any way? I can pay my tuition. So this person should contact you, right?
Yeah, it should. It can contact me. Yes, I get those questions. Again, not to dampen or raise hope. What usually I talked about letter of intent. What the thing you need to do is you're 45, you've had a career. Probably you even have an MSc. The immigration people are not stupid. It will be that, oh, maybe this guy went into the regular route, he didn't qualify. Now he's looking for a back door. You then have to prove to them that you're actually coming for education and have a reason why you who has masters and you've worked for 15 years, why you now want to do a diploma. You must make a connection between where you're coming from, where you are, and where you want to go. That's why you make your application successful. The fact that you already have second degree and now you want to do a diploma in admin, you need to make that connection of why Canada, why that program, and what it's going to do for you after.
Okay, so this is to everyone watch. If you see me looking down, I'm reading the questions, so don't think I'm not looking you in the eye or I'm being impolite. Okay, so this question is, are there special concessions for medical practitioners, doctors and nurses?
Yes and no. Yes, because there are provinces that are targeting to bring in more doctors, right? So some provinces have very specialized programs. They have very specialized streams for medical practitioners, especially general practitioners, NOC 3112, there are provinces that are targeted to that extent. Yeah, it's targeting them, meaning accountants don't come there to compete with you, engineers don't come there to compete with you. Otherwise, we all are eating from the same bowl, so to say.
Okay, so my wife is the principal applicant for our PR. We have our COPR already under OID. Do I need to do IELTS before we can get our citizenship after 3 years? She was the only one that wrote IELTS that got us PR and the COPR.
No. So congratulations. That's wonderful. That wife needs to be a queen. When you get to Canada, that you didn't have to do all that. So the whole thing about the straight answer is that you don't need to do anything to become permanent resident. Of course, when you become permanent resident, there are exams you need to write. You need to write your citizenship exams and all of that, and the danger of not also doing, people like us, like me, I didn't, when I migrated almost 10 years ago, I didn't do any English test. When they asked for English, I simply just sent my resume and say all these APC, CAFINO, MSc, they were done in English. And at that time, maybe they were looking, it wasn't as bad as this. And they simply waived the English, right? My wife didn't have to do anything. I didn't. We only just sent our certified results, get my employer's letter and all of that. But since 2015, everybody does English if you're the principal applicant. If you're not the principal applicant, it's not compulsory. It's just that you will lose, your principal applicant loses points. But if she had enough points without you writing English, it's wonderful. When I did my citizenship test, any other person who did recently can also confirm, you only need to do the citizenship test. Nobody asks for English because it's only the refugees when they come in, because of their circumstance, that they ask them to do English test. But if you come in as under federal skilled worker, I'm not aware you have to write any English test anymore. So please come to Canada. Don't let English stop you.
Come and stay for the 3 years, and after that we will talk about that.
So, and if you stay in Canada for 3 years, is it 1,065 days or what they call it? If you stay in Canada for 3 years without going out, including going to the States. You generally qualify if you meet all the other things. Of course, pay your tax, do all the things you're supposed to do. It generally qualifies you to apply for citizenship.
Okay. So, hi, I studied marketing up to MBA level, MSc in public relations, was in the field for about 8 years as sales representative, currently a lecturer in a federal university in Nigeria, in marketing department for 6 years now, interested in immigrating to Canada. How do I start?
Again, it's same thing. Just go online. I was trying to paste. The link. Go online. Do a self-assessment. It was, what's your age? Are you married? Did you school in Canada? Just answer those questions honestly. Even if you've not done your test, just call yourself 777 or 888. See where you land. I always tell people that don't go write English because people are writing English when you don't even know whether you have what it takes to be on this journey, So do a self-assessment online, and then it would let you know where you stand and what kind of programs you can get into.
Okay. So the next question is a 2-in-1 question. So he or she is asking, please, do you know about the rural northern immigration pilot? Is it a reliable route? And then the next question is, I scored 5.5 in my IELTS. What kind of immigration plan can I follow?
Okay, I'll answer the second question first. The 5.5, if you're a skilled trade, no problem. If you're coming for pilot, what's it called, for the living caregiver program we talked about, yay. But if you're coming as a skilled worker, you're not able to. Or if you have 500, I saw a question on farming. You need to have $500,000 to come and invest in a farm if you want to come and own a farm here, if you're a farmer. But there are also seasonal jobs that Canada approves that people can come in to do. But they are seasonal farm job, which is what it is. The question about 5.5, no, you don't qualify for federal express entry unless you have 6 minimum in each of those lines. The first question was
do you know about the rural northern immigration pilot?
Exactly. I know about the rural one. It's a good program, but you need you need the community and the small businesses there to sign on. There's one not too far from us, about 1.5 hours drive from here, Calistrom, so on the way to Lethbridge, on the way to the south. I think there are only 2 or 3 employers and people who are there. So the community has to have vacancy. You have to apply for a job in that community. It's when you get that job in that community, that's when you can start that process. So it's a route, but they do not have a lot of vacancies for people to apply to.
Okay, so Alex, can you help people who are not able to get the right score in IELTS 5.5? I know this person asked me this question a few weeks ago. I don't know if he or she is online watching, but then he said, I've been trying to write the IELTS. I've written it 3 times. I always get 5.5. And so he has every other thing. He's schooled in Canada. He's worked in Canada. He has everything. He just can't get the 6 to be able to be eligible to apply for the permanent resident.
So is this person writing IELTS? If this person is still in Canada, he can go write self. He doesn't need to do IELTS. Let him or her do CELPIP, CELPIP. Mm-hmm. So that's the Canadian English benchmark, whatever, right? So let the person do CELPIP. There are a lot of materials online that you can have access to.
Okay.
So there are at least 3, 4. For those in Canada, there are at least 3 or 4 different kinds of English tests they can do, apart from IELTS. So let them try CELPIP. Unlike IELTS, that you do the verbal face-to-face, everything for CELPIP is in computer. I think it's 3 hours. You just sit down there on the computer, you do all 4. You talk to the computer, computer talks to you, yeah.
Also, you do not speak to someone like in the IELTS, you speak to the computer.
Correct.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so someone is asking, is there an age restriction to PNP? Or is it PNP?
PNP, Provincial Nominee Program.
Yeah, is there an age restriction? Yeah.
I'll say yes and no. For some, it depends on the province, right? There are some provinces, if you're over 45, say, sorry, we don't want to pay you pension when you come. So when you're over 45, they won't pay. But it also depends on what you're going for, right? But for a lot of them, yeah, it depends on the total score that you score at the end of the day and what other people around you are scoring.
Okay, so someone is asking, please, can you tell us about, or what can you tell us about Yukon pilot?
Is it Yukon pilot or the Northern? It's the Northern pilot that has Yukon, New Brunswick, and Newfoundland. It's the Northern. It's the Northern pilot. It's similar to the community pilot. What they've done is again it's a kind of provincial program that the federal government has created. They relax a number of things, but you still see that things like schooling, having schooled in any of those three provinces, having schooled in the province, having work experience. Yeah, it's a program that is available if you qualify for the jobs that are in demand, and if you meet all the other points that they have. Yeah, it's a good program if you qualify for the things.
Okay. Is it easy to find a job in Canada with all the protocol of no one is eligible except there is no PR or citizen who have applied for the job or apply from Canada or LMIA? I have been applying but no response. The only time was when I used my cousin's address, but I told him I was not in Canada. I want to know if there are other means to get job outside Canada. Thanks. I have my ECA and IELTS reports.
So what I'll say is that Canada is a responsible country, right? They want job for those who are here first. You know, charity begins at home before they go outside. But okay, a place like Ontario, for instance, right? In a place like Ontario, they're pushing for technology. So if you can make video games, if you are a guru in IT and all of that, they're already aggressive and they are bringing in a whole lot of people on the technology side of things. So yeah, it's only proper that they want to be sure that their own children have something before they then start reaching out to us. There's still unemployment in Canada as we speak. And then there's also even with the federal government, there's the global stream, where if you are into technology, you're into certain job categories, you're able to apply from outside Canada. Okay, Ama, you might be thinking of when are we wrapping up, because there's another webinar I need to be talking in another few minutes.
Okay, so we are going to wrap up soon. Going to ask a few questions, and then Alex can go. And if you have any other question, his details will be on all our social media platforms, and his details is even currently on the screen as we speak, so you can pick it up and send him an email. If you are in Canada, you can call him. If you are outside Canada, you can send him an email or call him as well. Also, those asking for the link, Alex is going to give us the link. We'll put it on our social media platform, so don't worry about the link. I think he tried to, but then he will give it to us later on, and we'll put it out for you. So I'm going to ask him just a few questions and we can wrap up, and then if you have any other questions, you can send it to Alex, because he needs to go to another webinar. He's from another webinar, he came to ours and he's going to another, and so we need to give him a little break before he joins the next one. So let's ask just some few questions and then Alex can move on. Someone is asking, how can I migrate to Canada without my ECA?
Without?
Yes, without.
Sorry, if you're coming as a permanent resident, your ECA is your credentials evaluation, right? It's one of the mandatory things. It's one of the mandatory things. I'm sorry. If you're coming as a permanent resident, ECA must be done.
Okay, so I think I'm going to ask this last two questions and then Alex can wrap up. So someone is asking, do you have to go through the express entry even if you do not have a lot of work experience? Example, like 2 years in research.
2 years in research. In what area of research?
And nothing, that was the question. There was nothing like, I have 2 years in research here, but then I think the person is asking academic research.
Okay, so what are they? Because it's still the same route, right? We still need to do your credentials evaluation. You do your English, blah blah blah, and all of that. If you're going through the Federal Skills Program, you need to fulfill all of that. Yeah, research is a good one. There are very good NOCs, National Occupation Classification for Education Research.
I think a follow-up to that question would be maybe whoever sent it, correct me if I'm wrong, but we kept saying 8 years work experience, 10 years work experience. So he's asking, what if you just have 2 years in academic research work experience? Can you still apply through the express entry?
Yes, you can. You actually need 1 year. You need 1 year full-time work experience in the last 10 years for you to be able to apply. But you who have 2 years, you will score lower than the person who has 8 years, right? That's the difference.
Okay, so the last question then Alex can wrap up. Okay, for the Northern Rural Immigration Program, how can one get the community to request for him?
So what we try to do is for our clients, we reach out to the community, right? We reach out to the businesses, because if you go to the website, that community will have names of companies and businesses that have signed up for the program, right? So what we then do, we look at their vacancies, and then we begin to push the resume of our people to say, hey, here is an international worker that please review, and all of that. So it's like finding any job online, right? You have to be sure that this employer has signed up for the program and they do have the vacancy. And if they don't have a vacancy, maybe you think you have something to offer them, you simply write your letter of whatever and say, hey, I can help you because I do this, that.
Okay, so I think that's all the questions. If you have any other question, please contact Alex. His WhatsApp number is on the screen. I can say +1 825 256 5155 +1 825 256 5155. He has a website, he has email address. We'll put that on our social media platform. Please connect with Alex. And I think this is everyone has a unique issue, everyone has a unique problem. So ask him your questions and he'll be able to guide you. Thank you very much, Alex. And then we want you to round up so that you can go for your next webinar.
Thanks so very much. I want to thank all the conveners of Afri-can Connect. It's a privilege to be with you this afternoon. Thanks for all you do for people. God bless you. And for everyone, if you have a quick question or whatever for me, usually we charge $100 to $200 for consultation, but just give me Afri-can Connect and I can do some basic things for you, because you mentioned Afri-can Connect. I'll do it pro bono, meaning I'll do that for free. Thank you so very much, everyone. And it's been a privilege talking to you. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Alex. We really appreciate it. Whenever we call on you, you come in and answer the questions that our people have. When I say our people, I mean Africans have. We really appreciate your time and your effort. And just as Alex said, we have a promo code. If you say, I'm coming from watching Afri-can Connect, we will put a recorded video on YouTube. So if you still want to go through it and see if your question was answered, please go there and watch it. Also, if you are in Canada, if you are currently in Canada and in Calgary, Afri-can Connect is still giving COVID relief support. If you're an international student, if you're a single mother, if you're a senior, if you have COVID and you're isolating, please connect to us. Go to our social media platform, send an email to us. we would connect back to you. You will fill a form and we will send you a food hamper whilst you wait for things to turn around. And so that is our COVID relief support. We have so many other exciting things that we are doing. So go on our website and see what we are doing and see how we can support you, make your life and your stay here in Calgary better. Thank you very much, and see you all next month. The last Saturday of September, the last Saturday of September, we are bringing in a professional who is going to talk to us about those who have recently come in. Because of COVID, so many things have been put on hold. How do you survive if you're a new immigrant and you can't get access to the basic things, the settlement, immigration, things that you would have usually had access to? We are bringing someone here to help you, to guide you through it. So please be here next month, the last Saturday of September. Thank you very much and have a good one. Bye-bye.